Welcome back to Look News. Joining us now is Deborah Neary, a local artist here in Saratoga Springs. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by. You're here to share more about your Women in Nature photography exhibit, which opens this weekend at the Roosevelt Baths in Saratoga Springs. I thought before we got into this show, because it's a really fascinating show, and we do have some pictures to show, wanted to learn a little bit more about you. How did you get into photography?
Oh, I've always done art. I've always drawn a lot. That was always came very easy to me. And went to art college and then decided to specialize in photography. I don't know why. I think at the time I thought maybe I could make more money as a photographer than an artist, but I was very young and didn't really know. So I picked photography and went to college.
And lifelong career in photography. You've got this show coming up, which is quite an interesting show. Tell me about it. Women in Nature. Where did it come from?
Well, I've always photographed women. I have photographed a lot of pregnant women in nature. They came to me and asked me to do like a surprise present for their partners or husbands, and we would go outside in the woods and I'd photograph them, pregnant women, you know, and that worked out great because the husbands would be really surprised that they even would do that, and oftentimes they'd be totally naked out in the woods.
And was it always in the woods that you would do pregnant women?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or out in a field somewhere, or that kind of thing. Unless it was really cold, sometimes I'd do it inside as well. But I encourage people to go outside.
Encourage people. We're seeing a theme here, either pregnant women or women in general in nature. What's the connection between the female form and the nature around them?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I think we're all part of nature. And one of the things that came up for me when I was thinking about the show was that I feel like there's so much technology in our lives right now. There's a lot of everything's on cell phones or it's virtual reality, and we're just not getting into nature enough and really just walking barefoot on the ground and getting grounded. And we're getting so far away from nature with a capital N. It's a very important thing. We are part of that.
It's a reconnecting.
Reconnecting, and I find that when women come and they do this with me, they have this, they feel connected. I mean, that's like, word keeps coming up, but it's really amazing how it starts off as, let's have some fun and do a photo shoot, and it can be really deep. It can be really healing for most of my clients, actually.
It seems like it would be a way that you would, if you have inhibitions, if you're perhaps a little uptight, and then you're taking these women and putting them in a natural setting, and also somewhere where they're quite vulnerable because they're outside. In some cases, stripping them down to very little clothing. Do you find when you have these women that are your subjects that you see those inhibitions kind of strip away when this is happening?
Wow, I wish I could talk about this for a couple of hours.
We should perhaps have an art show.
I know. First off, I don't strip them down. But well,
I guess
well, the thing is, a lot of women will spontaneously want to do that. We'll start off clothed and then be like, oh, let's just tear it all off. And sometimes it actually works better without clothes on. To be in that setting, it just feels better, and so it can be really surprising sometimes for my clients. They just feel, oftentimes they feel so comfortable, and part of it is from being in nature, part of it is not being in a studio, and getting into that creative space. You get into a zone where you're just being creative. It's like, okay, whatever, I'm going to do this.
So they're stripping themselves down.
Right. Let's get that clear.
Let's take a look. We've got a couple of pictures that folks can see during the exhibit, which opens on Saturday. Here is the first one, and this was one of the first pictures you'd sent me. Quite a striking image.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about it.
Well, that's Joelle Lydon is her name. Joelle Lydon, I should say. And she wanted to get some photographs of herself that were different. And we certainly got that from her.
Now, is that in a local pond that she's submerged?
That's a friend of mine has some land, and he offered for me to use that land to photograph in certain private settings, because she actually was one of the women that stripped down completely.
It's interesting you talk about that relation to the environment and seeing her reflection in the pond.
Yes.
And, the connection between her and then that surrounding environment. Let's take a look at another one that we have. A lot of color going on there.
Yeah. That's my stepmother.
Okay.
And about a month before this photo shoot, she broke her hip.
Wow.
And she and my father were visiting, and I was talking about the show coming up, and my father wanted her to experience it. And she's in her 70s with a broken hip. Well, it's maiden now, but, you know, it was a month ago. So I took her to the state park, and that was a scarf. She was just playing around with it like this. I often have people just sort of moving a lot and playing with, it gets them loosened up.
Okay.
And the sun was going down, so it's right behind her, and so the sun is behind her, and it's reflecting on her, and then her shadow is on the cloth. So you're sort of seeing her shadow on the material.
Yeah. And let's take a look at the final one. This one, you tell me, is you.
Yeah.
You're kind of hidden a little bit around your behind your photo credit there.
Yeah. Well, it's cropped too, that one.
Yeah, a little bit for our heirs. Tell me, you obviously didn't take this one, but you wanted to be a part of the show.
Right. Another photographer, a very good friend of mine who's made all the prints for the show. His name's Mark Bowles. I asked him to do a photo shoot with me because I wanted to experience the other end of the camera. I wanted to experience what my clients are saying to me, how it feels to them to be barefoot and you know, walking around and finding places. And I was trying not to be a photographer and just, you know, I'm just doing this. I'm the model. I don't know anything about photography. That was hard.
It's hard to let go sometimes.
Yeah, it is when you have a certain way of looking at things. So it was a great experience. I did feel the connection. We were there for about 2 hours, and I almost actually went to quicksand at one point. It was a part where I was sinking down into this quicksand. It was amazing.
Get the picture quickly.
Well, I mean, I was moving around a whole area. It was actually at Moreau, halfway up one of the mountains in Moreau.
Nice.
And it was a great experience for me. I'm really glad I did that. And he got some great shots, so I'm showing those too.
A taste of what folks can see. Talk to me about the venue and Saturday's opening. Roosevelt Baths, not a common place to see art. Perhaps one of the first art exhibits there. A nice venue to be doing it.
I think it is the first time. I mean, I didn't check, but I'm pretty sure that they've never had an art exhibit there. And what's interesting about the show is the paper that we use to print the pictures on it's actually stuck to the walls. There's no frames, so it's like it's part of the wall. And well, what can I tell you about the venue? It's.
You're saying that there's going to be, apart from your photography, there's some other things going on, some music, some food, some
there's
massage.
There's two musicians. They write their own music and they play guitar. So a woman and a man, and they're going to be taking turns. I don't know. I'm leaving up to them. You know, like if
You're
you know,
concentrating
I'm
on the
not.
photography.
Yeah,
part.
I mean, I don't feel I have to control this thing. It's just going to be just like my photo shoots. It's going to be spontaneous. People can come. There's going to be food. Putnam is going to give a little hors d'oeuvres. They'll be doing foot massages there, and I think some facials. I'm giving away a photo shoot, by the way, so a lucky person.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're going to do a raffle, so when people come in, I'd like them to, you know, sign their names and put the information, and then they'll go into the raffle.
And one of our viewers perhaps could experience this for themselves.
Well, anybody can. I mean, it's, you know, I'm hoping that people will sign up while they're there, but they can contact me anytime and sign up to do this with me.
That sounds great. Well, I appreciate you spending some time telling us a little bit more about your art. It was a pleasure to meet you. We thank you so much for stopping by. Deborah Neary, she's a local photographer. Your art opening is this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great to meet
Great to
you.
meet you too.
Now, Women in Nature opens on Saturday between 4 and 8 p.m. at the Roosevelt Baths and Spa in Saratoga Springs. You can find out more by heading to the website. It's looktvonline.com.